What is up? Almost at Christmas. This is kind of our Christmas. I guess this is our official Christmas episode.
It's pretty, close enough. I mean, can't really do it on or before.
Yeah, and I was just looking at. I mean, I do have one good Christmas thing that I've been interested to see. They should get everyone angry at the world. But I got the ebook to Santa's husband. I don't know if you heard about this.
Nah, it's like gay porn for.
No, it's like Santa's black, his husband is white, and it's just like I think it's just to piss off liberal, like Republicans probably. That's probably the point.
Yeah, I mean that sounds like they're like something out of their nightmares.
I mean, speaking of gay Santa, here, this comes to play here. This comes to mind here. Here's totally gay Santa.
Margaret.
I get flagged for this.
Slowly but surely turning Santa here, just laying down the groundwork. Yeah, you want to do dark, lighter there too.
The minute I heard the pitch,
There he is.
I was like, "This is genius.
Hey, Santa.
This is going to be epic." And so John would, blend a character from Saturday Night Fever with Santa Claus.
Real deal here.
And the idea that it would be part.
Jeez, I mean, I wonder if he hit on dudes before this. He got like caught hitting on guys at the gym.
No, what do you mean, like on video?
Like some guy, like a couple guys said, like, yeah, I got hit on by this weird bald guy. This was before he was out in the public as bald. He's like, I got hit on this weird bald guy that looks exactly like
the whole South Park closet stuff with him and Tom Cruise.
Probably after. That's old. It was probably after, but it was like before he was like out in the public as being bald, like, which I think he has been for a very long time. But
yeah, I remember thinking
a lot of actors are.
His hairline looked a little weird, even though he had like a full head of hair and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I watched this commercial and I was like, this sucks. I don't like it.
Chris Kringle and sort of game-changing idea of Christmas.
It sucks too, because I like Saturday Night Fever. The second one is so embarrassing.
I've never seen the second, but
it's like impossible.
The first one always is kind of weird to me because I always thought of it like this kind of happy dance movie, but it's really dark and fucked up. Like his brother is like a failed priest, and the family is kind of like championing him the whole time. Yeah. And then the other guy is like got this girl pregnant, and then he eventually jumps off a bridge, and it's like a bunch of gang rape in a car. It's a fucked up movie.
The second one's called Staying Alive, so it sticks with that whole Bee Gees theme, but he's basically just like a gay dancer in the 80s. That's pretty much what it is. It's like definitely not as dark.
Shit.
Yeah, it's like mostly him like in like dance training. That's all. That's the only thing I can remember from the movie is like he's with a bunch of these people and they're doing dance training. I don't know. I guess they're training for abroad. I couldn't really remember. It's directed by Sylvester Stallone, which is weird. Weird.
Maybe he's secretly gay too.
Could be. I mean, the writer was still Norman Wexler, who did, Saturday Night Fever and Serpico. So he's got some good stuff in there. I think he was friends. He was also friends with Bob Zamuda, who was like the friend of Andy Kaufman.
Yeah,
weird New York
the guy
connection.
from The Holdovers played him, Paul Giamatti.
Yeah, no, I think he was kind of like a weirdo. This guy Norman Wexler, and
You've
like
seen
got
that
really
movie
famous.
before, right? With
that movie's
Danny
great.
DeVito and Jim Carrey.
Yeah, I love that movie.
I like it. I just Courtney Love fucking sucks. I wish she wasn't in it.
Oh, I always forget she's in it, which is a good thing. So it's like she doesn't stand out to me. So I guess I kind of dismiss her.
That Larry Flint movie too. I wish she was in that either because I like that movie. Woody Harrelson pretty good in it.
I like some of it. Yeah, I like it enough. Oh yeah, so I saw Iron Claw. Man, this was a really good movie. I don't want to
in theaters or
in theaters. And by the way, there was people in the theater for this.
okay.
People went to go see Iron Claw, and it was really good, man. It's a really good fucking movie. I don't know this director. I mean, I know the story of the Von Erich brothers, so it's
Sean
like
Durkin.
it's like I mean, I must have known it in the past before, like somewhat, but Dark Side of the Ring did a whole episode on the Von Erichs, and so the story was like I knew the story, but they still did it really
What's
good.
Dark Side of the Ring? Was that like Vice?
It was on Vice, and they basically go through like a story within pro wrestling. But this is
I
like
remember seeing.
this is probably the best one that they ever did.
Who's
like,
the guy who like fell and broke his neck? Owen Hart.
Owen Hart. Yeah. That was a good
and then
one.
also there was the guy who had roid rage and killed his family.
Yeah, then there's like a guy who gets killed in the locker room, Bruiser Brody or something like that. And he is actually in this technically because he's attached to some of the Von Erich story. I mean, it's about I don't want to go too far into this because I don't really want to spoil anything because it's good, but it's about this Von Erich family. They have all these brothers in wrestling. It starts off with the dad who is like a wrestler in the 60s. He goes by Fritz Von Erich. And I guess he had some kind of German Nazi gimmick, I'm pretty sure. And like back then he was wrestling in Texas, so it was world-class championship wrestling, which is the Texas territory. There's all these different territories across, and then the
WCW?
It was WCCW.
Well, I thought it was WCW when like Hulk Hogan was really popular, and then there's like NWO.
No, well, I'll explain it. WCW came when Ted Turner bought Mid-South Wrestling, which would have been like a Southern wrestling thing, and then he changed the name to WCW.
But I thought the McMahons were like heavily invested or involved.
Yeah, they started buying a lot of territories. They actually started buying a lot of territory. They're an East Coast thing, though. You got to think about that. The McMahons were the New York territory. This is back in the territory days where there was territories, and you'd put on wrestling matches and shows in a certain area. And even in this movie, they show. I mean, I know a little bit about wrestling history, but they show the.
What was ECW?
ECW was past the territory age, but it was like an indie wrestling company from Philadelphia, New Jersey, and New York.
Okay, because I remember you guys like going to see it, and I was wondering if that was because it was like local to the tri-state area, or they just were like touring.
It was, I mean, technically, yeah, it's like it was this little territory, but it was in an age where there's no competing.
Did you say there was like nude women on stage and stuff?
Oh yeah, they would often like show their tits. Like that was a big draw. It was pretty raw. I mean, it was good, but yeah, not technically a territory, but there was all these territories.
It was kind of grimy and like even more white trash than your typical wrestling stuff. It's like
it was all about back then. It was all about making money and doing what See, the thing is, WWF didn't get popular until the son, the Vince McMahon we know, Vince McMahon Jr. He started buying out other territories so he can make this like nationwide thing, and then the stories goes from there. But the father was just the New York territory, and they all sort of like interchanged and mixed and matched. And then there was the NWA, which was the National Wrestling Alliance. So that was sort of like encompassing all the territories, kind of where you'd have a champion, your NWA champ, like your Ric Flair, who would go from territory to territory, basically pretty much there to sell tickets from like keep each territory making money. I guess
that's where they got NWO from.
Yeah, that was a faction. There's all these wrestling factions, like the DJ, like DX was a faction. That's a little different, But NWA started. That NWA title started kind of getting encompassed into WCW in like that late era too. So that was like part of it too. But so actually speaking of that, like the Fritz Von Erich, the really old guy from the 60s, he always wanted to be the champion, because when you're the champion in NWA and you go everywhere, you make all the money, you have all the acclaim. Obviously these things are fixed, but it kind of means that if you're able to be that guy, that means they trust you, that you're good at like doing your work. You're not gonna like fuck things up, and you're probably like safe, and you're good at talking. The crowd likes you, all that shit. Not really about an athlete thing, but it's more of like they even
PR.
mentioned the movie. It's a
Not PR,
promotion.
like,
It's like being the CEO, you know what I mean, or like the top guy, the top salesman kind of thing. But yeah, so he never got it. So he's always like he's kind of has this pissed off thing towards all the different businesses. I know Sam Munchnick would have been like I think he would have been like the Tennessee Territory or something like that. Jerry Jarrett gets mentioned, which his son was Jeff Jarrett. He wrestled in the WCW and WWF. So I mean, all these sons went on to like be wrestled. That's another thing. It's like you can count on like 8 hands all the different offspring that stayed in the territory. But in Texas, Fritz von Erich eventually becomes like the Texas owner, and he gets his sons into it. And he's got a couple of sons. He gets his first son, who is pretty much his first son. There is that's another thing. These Von Erichs, the whole story is about tragedy. There's a lot of tragedy in the Von Erich family, and I don't want to go too far into that, but this is a very sad movie. Like this is a sad movie. But
you can go into it. I'm not gonna see it.
All right, I'll go into it. I'll put some spoilers on. I'll get some spoilers in the time. But yeah, so basically, has a kid. First kid is like 5 years old, dies randomly. The second kid, which is Zac Efron, plays the character.
Randomly.
I think he has some kind of health issue, and he dies at like 5 years old. You know, like that was the first. And there is this curse. Something. There's a curse of the Von Erichs. That's like where it kind of starts from. But then, he has a bunch more kids. And let's see, he has, I mean, in this movie, there is 4 kids. There is another kid, and I'll get into that. But
I remember,
which again, the story is more tragic than it's even in the movie, which is pretty crazy. But so he's got 4 kids in the movie. The second oldest, who is really the oldest, is Zac Efron. So he's the first to get into the business because that's basically what this is. And you have all these kids, and even in like, I mean, let's see if I'll play the trailer. Let's play the trailer because this might be able to.
Ever since I was a child, people said
this
my
might
family
get
was cursed.
down.
I mean,
Mom tried to protect.
I don't like
us
Zac
with God.
Efron. I never seen him in anything good. He was
Pop tried to protect.
really
us
good in
with
this.
wrestling. He said if we were the toughest,
He's okay in the
strongest, nothing could ever hurt us. I believed him.
Reboot,
We all did.
Baywatch. He's all right.
I mean, like comedy roles, he was always like.
Pants tomorrow, please, David.
Harry, I want you to join your brothers.
And that
I love that.
Seth Rogen movie,
Carrie's
Neighbors.
Oh,
my
yeah.
favorite, then Kev, then David, then Mike. But the rankings can always change.
Yeah, I mean, here's a good little
Favorite,
clip that.
then Kev, then David, then Mike. But the rank.
Please, David.
Harry, I want you to join your brothers in the ring. Yes, sir. I love that.
Now we all know Carrie's my favorite, then Kev, then David, then Mike. But the rankings can always change.
It's like honestly, that's like the big part of this movie is just like every day he's like reinforcing like you know, I have my. It's like he's pitting them all against each other. But I mean, that's an interesting thing about them is like he's pitting them all against each other, but they're all kind of like these good old Southern boys. They all seem to like kind of let that go off them because they all like you could tell they're all like really supportive of each other, but like there is this like fighting for this father who's kind of like a football coach type guy.
More ribs. I want to be with my family.
That girlfriend's
Be with my brothers.
pretty weird in this. You're like,
What do you like to do?
make him look older.
Yeah, I mean, I have some issues with that because I know what Kevin Von Erich looks like, and he's not this big. He's not this big at all. This guy, he looks like fucking
his
E-Man.
face looks like they aged him up or something. He's supposed to be playing an older part.
Yeah, I mean, he's the older brother, but I think honestly, it's all the fucking weightlifting that kind of stressed out. He looks different because I think he's so like, I don't know, like working out too much or something. He looks like he aged himself.
Brothers.
Maybe he's taking steroids.
But, I mean, that's in the movie too. Could be. He probably did.
Together, we can do anything.
We're here to restore justice to the wrestling.
Got the Freebirds right here. Real tech.
With his own 2 hands.
And that was also cool. Seeing the Sportatorium, and like I've seen it in magazines and books
What's
and
that?
shit. That was like the arena in Texas. So they actually like showed like, you know, like they would essentially a lot of these places they'd own a big building and you know they were selling it out. And you know it's also funny too because they would talk about it in these books and then I saw it in the movie. But you know it's not like these asshole wrestler fans today that are like you know fucking 30-year-olds neck beards and all that shit. It was like you know tons of girls going to it, older people. It was like anyone. I mean, I guess there's not as much to do in the late 70s, early 80s, but it was like different than what wrestling is perceived as today.
What's the
Maybe
next weird?
like kind of like these. If you look up AEW fans, you'll figure out what that means.
AEW?
Yeah, that's the other one. That's like the cool hip wrestling fandom now.
I've never heard of it.
It's on TNT or TBS or something. Probably seen trailers for that.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen the trailers, but it's kind of like whenever ads come on, I try and block it out.
Yeah, you got to try to avoid it. I get you.
That will pass down to us, the hands that will deliver the iron claw to you.
So what do you think? Like we're alive.
I love your family, Kevin.
No way, Uncle?
Yes, sir. Oh, man, that makes me so happy.
I talk to you about something, Mom. Dad's too tough on us. You gotta say something.
Baby, that's what your brothers are for.
Feel that? You feel that? That's pressure. You're pushing too hard.
I'm fine, Kev. Seriously, I'm just sick.
I'm scared, man. It all out of control.
Terrible accident.
I should have stopped him. I need to think about my family.
Your job is to wrestle. Live up to that deal, or we are through.
I told you to look out for him!
I just love being out there with you guys. It's the only thing that matters to me.
Laverne will forever be the greatest family in the history of wrestling.
Feels like a football movie.
Yeah, it's
Like
it
Friday
definitely
Night
has that
Lights or
vibe.
some shit.
You know what?
Jordan.
It has a big Friday Night vibes, Night Lights vibes there, definitely.
Mookie,
So
what was that guy? Movie. Oh fuck.
So let me get into it. So as Zac
Movie
Efron's character is Kevin Von Erich, and he's sort of like the first wrestler to get into it, and then the second oldest brother is David, who
Played by who?
he's this blonde guy on the left here. He's
That's
like
the oldest one because he looks younger than Zac Efron.
no, he's the second oldest.
Oh,
And then the third is the bear guy who's Kerry Von Erich. So that the older one is going to get into wrestling. That's sort of where I start the story. He's like going to be in it. He's about to sort of debut as the tag partner for Zac Efron's character. And then the bear guy, Kerry, is an Olympian. He's training to be in the Olympics, and he's a discus. He's like a champion football player. It's just a Texas family, that kind of shit. He's got the discus record. He's going to the Olympics, so he's like on Team USA. So that's where we kind of start off with him. And then the fourth brother here is like kind of just doesn't fit the mold. He's like really kind of like thin, kind of gangly. He likes to play guitar, probably smoke
yeah, he has a
weed,
band that's
kinda
playing
shit.
live somewhere in the clip.
He's like playing. He's into music, which like the dad obviously does not like that kind of shit. Like like he is not like that. He's not like the
Cool,
family.
he like call him a fag and denounce him all the
No,
time.
no, not at all. But it's like he he's pushing him to like get bigger, tougher, so he could eventually be a part of the wrestling group too.
Is there steroid use in the movie?
Yeah, like right in front of the dad, he has no issue. It's funny because it's like, well, I'll explain. So then basically like Zac Efron's wrestling, and then they're debuting the new guy, David, and David comes in and he's like the star. Like this kid on the left, he's like obviously like this is the next guy. And even, they're all just trying to work up to get a chance to get that title run, with the big NWA champion, because that means then you can go all over your all the claim. It gets to the family. Like that's what the dad really wants. And like Zac Efron's character is working up for it. But then as soon as David comes in here, because he's like a tall guy, he's kind of fits the bill. He can talk on the mic. He really like connects better with the crowd. So it like skips over Zac Efron to give it to this guy, David, that he's going to eventually, he's going to work up to being, he's going to go to Japan. He's going to start wrestling like all their stuff there, get big over there. And then in 5 months, he's going to have a big match with Ric Flair where the title's going to drop to him. And he's going to be like
Did you see that?
the champion.
Wrestling Japanese wrestlers, or they're just American wrestlers in Japan?
It's both. The wrestling was very big over there at the time, so it's like if you got big over there, it was both. There's American wrestlers,
Yeah, I remember
mostly American, probably.
What's his name? The guy who played Mankind, Mick Foley.
Yeah, Mick Foley went over there and attacked
it
Terry
was like
Funk.
barbed wire explosion.
Yeah,
almost like they took that, and then don't you remember the hardcore belt in WWF?
but I'll do it to give you a little. That was FMW, which was that was like Japan's ECW. So there was leagues that weren't so crazy like that, but that was.
Do you remember the?
That was like their ECW.
It was like a newer belt.
Oh yeah.
Got added.
They made that because
like,
ECW. ECW is why that existed.
Yeah, like it was their like a way to try and compete with them, even though it was way more tamer.
And also, even though they were actually paying, like the owner of ECW was getting money each month, didn't tell anyone from the WWF. So like they were always sort of getting funded without anyone's knowledge. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, Vince McMahon always seemed like a really shady fuck.
And the same with the ECW guy, like
Vince
Paul
McMahon
Heyman.
seemed kind of roided out too.
Oh yeah, he definitely did roids. But yeah, all right. So then
was he a wrestler or something?
I think so. I think definitely. Yeah. I mean, I know so. I know Bret Hart talked about like they were drunk. Like they said, like Vince McMahon was always really fun to be around. Like they said they were all drunk in somewhere, and Vince McMahon like kept asking all the wrestlers to like do their finishing move on him or something like, and they're like, all right. And then I think he got hurt a couple times. Yeah, I think he was a wannabe wrestler. But so the two brothers, they're getting into it, and then the bear guy is and Team USA, and then Jimmy Carter announces that because of the Russia shit, that the U.S. is not going to the Olympics. I didn't really realize this. I mean, that's kind of shitty. So it's like Olympics get canceled for all the USA athletes, and then that means for a lot of athletes. That means
didn't
never go again.
Wasn't there like some people kidnapped and held hostage?
So that Iran-Contra thing was part of it too, yeah. But so it's like we decided in like that 70, I think it's 70, late 70s, 78 maybe, that we decided we're not going to the Olympics. So Jeremy Allen White's character is on a bus back home because he can't, be Olympian, which is pretty fucking terrible actually. And that's also part of this fate that would be terrible. So he starts getting into wrestling, and like as you see in the trailer, like the dad's like, I want you to fucking be in it. Like you're next in the ring. So he's next in there. He's going in there. They have a trio. They're kind of fighting the Freebirds, which that's a known.
Did they wrestle together as a tag team?
They did. At this time there was a 6-man thing. So there was like a 3 versus 3. So they got really big into that for those 3 brothers. And then that's when they get the call, like, it's not going to be Zac Efron's character. It's going to be the middle one to go up and try to go to Japan, do a lot of good stuff there, come back, then wrestle Ric Flair, and the title's going to get dropped. So that's like that'll be the big event, like for that.
Who plays Ric Flair?
Ric Flair was some character actor. He wasn't bad. He didn't really look like him, but the promo he did is like dead on, so it was like it wasn't bad. It was actually like pretty good character. But yeah, so also meanwhile at the time they're all getting the steroids. They're kind of showing that they're also all not Zac Efron so much, like the other 2 brothers and all the other wrestlers. They're doing drugs, especially this middle one, doing a lot of like painkillers, painkillers and steroids and coke and whatever, and they're drinking all the time because they're like Texas, so like. That's involved there.
Yes, it sounded pretty good.
No, it's really good. And then, I'll tell you, then the story just like, I don't know. This is like where it starts getting spoiler territories. But if you know the Von Erich story, it's kind of all downhill from here.
How to spoil a biopic? They're literally based off of something.
Yeah, all I would say though is it's not a like, this isn't a story everyone would know.
They deviate a lot.
No, they don't deviate too much. There is some deviations, but. They don't deviate too much. Actually, the deviations that they don't bring into the movie are even more tragic. It would be like even more of a bummer if they put in the things they didn't show. But so the son that goes over to Japan, the guy on the left here, he dies in his hotel room because he was doing a lot of drugs and he had this like rupture in his intestines. So he dies over there. Doesn't ever get to come home. and then like instantly, like they're dealing with like a death. And meanwhile, in Texas,
Is that where that huge parade funeral?
yeah,
first
that's like where you saw the limos. Because I mean, that's nothing. It's like, and they didn't get into it as much as they showed in the movie, but like in Texas, they were like royalty. Like everyone knew who the Von Erich family was. Everyone knew who all they were. It was like they were kind of like the Partridge Family of Texas wrestling. So it was like kind of like everyone knew who they were. Like the line exactly. Like the line was apparently that big
Partridge
for the
family,
funeral.
or do you mean like the royal family?
Yeah, you know what? More like the Texas royal family. It's probably more like that.
What if I don't get the Partridge Family?
Because I'm just thinking like a bit. Everyone knows the family or the Brady Bunch. Like everyone knows all the Like imagine if one of the Brady Bunch died midway through the season. Like that kind of thing. Like,
what do you think? The cul-de-sac's gonna have a? They're gonna shut the street down and
could be, man. That's what I was
other
thinking.
families.
Could be something like that. But yeah, so then at this time, like the dad's like the dad even tells him like you can't cry at the funeral. Like you can't do anything like that. Like don't even think about that. Like
all he has to say is like don't be a fag.
Pretty much. He's like, and this is by the way the real Kevin Von Erich right there in the middle. Older now.
Okay. Was John Cena in the movie?
I think he just went to the premiere, which would make sense.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, let me see. I should show more on this. Yeah. So yeah.
Wait, hold on. Go back to where they should. Who is the? What's the bear guy's actual name?
The bear guy. Oh, his name is Kerry Von Erich. Jeremy Allen.
The actual actor.
Jeremy Allen. Jeremy Allen White.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and he was really good. I have to say, like, I think his role was a little diminished, but I think that was sort of part of the personality of the character he was playing. But oh yeah, so the brother dies, and then they're very competitive with each other. So like, the dad's like,
who's gonna die next?
No, he's like, I still want to do that. I still want to do that match for Ric Flair. Like I still want to do that because I want that heavyweight title. That has to be in our family. All that shit.
Wait, how did he die again?
He had like a rupture of his intestines, but it was probably due to drugs and like maybe injury and didn't like get anything treated, that kind of thing. And he really was. I mean, I've heard wrestling people talk. I mean, Jim Cornette, I've heard his podcast and talk about, after the Dark Side of the Ring episode, he did a whole podcast. And, like the middle one there, David was really like, they were all good, but it was like, as soon as he kind of came in, you're like, all right, this guy's the star. Like this was like the next big star kind of thing.
The least athletic out of all of them.
He kind of was too. Even if you see, but here's the thing: it's like I heard Jim Cornette talk about it. It was like he was actually a lot very athletic because he was like a couple quarterback. He was like athletic, but he was kind of thin, but really tall, like and very young. So somebody who like would have probably filled out and gotten bigger. You know what I mean? Like. Someone you could like work with to get bigger and then like, physically bigger and that like, so he was like, and then on top of it was like the most limber, like all that stuff, could do a lot of things that like smaller people could do, even though he's huge, that kind of thing. So he had like the most potential.
Shit. Like
he was the ringer. You know what I mean? Like he was
prodigy that's not grown into their body yet.
Yeah, and also on the mic, like he could talk on the mic better than like the other two kids were kind of the one on the right, like the Barry Allen guy, the bear guy. I'm saying Barry Allen, that's the Flash. Jeremy Allen White.
We never actually said his name before until now, so that's probably why you're getting tripped up.
Yeah, his character is very like not talking too much, and then Zac Efron's character is like a little also kind of the same, a little awkward, not really talking. So this guy could like talk on the mic. So that was also part of it too. He had the most confidence on top of being like probably the most skilled. So he dies, and now like the dad's like, well, it's between you two, but it really probably should have been Zac Efron since he was the older brother to get the shot. But he's like, I'm gonna give you a heads or tail call here. Who's gonna fight Ric Flair? So of course, the guy from the Bear, Jeremy Allen, wins the coin toss, and he goes in and he beats Ric Flair. And he's got the big NWA championship, and they bring it to the house and all that shit. And then of course he's getting drunk and doing pills, and He gets in. He goes on his motor. He's like, I'm gonna go for a ride on his motorcycle, and then gets in a big motorcycle accident, and his foot gets like amputated. So he doesn't have a foot, so can't wrestle. So then, that's like kind of a big plot point there. Let me see. So then, no, that was a different guy, but I think it's just another. That was MJF, another wrestler, but then there's not another brother, so the father really forces this like younger kid to be in it, and it's so obvious this kid is like just not gonna do this. He's like a thin, gangly. I mean, he's an interesting character. He's like a cool character. He's like, this seems like a good kid. He likes music, all that shit. Not a wrestler, not an athlete, but gets forced into it. And then, like, pretty much his first match, he goes up and he separates his shoulder. And then rush to the hospital. They put him into, like, surgery instantly because, you got to get him fixed. He's got to be out in the ring in, like, 2 days because it's, like, this family. It's like a football coach. And he has toxic shock syndrome from the surgery. So he gets, like, 107 fever and basically has, like, brain damage from it. And so he gets out of it, and they make him do like an interview to like the Texas public. And he's like, "Yeah, I'll be back soon." But it's like everybody knows he's not gonna be back soon. And like he kind of comes back home. He can't play guitar. Like they showed it. He's like playing guitar really good. He's into music. He can't even play guitar. He can't like hardly speak. He can hardly like eat well. And he's kind of like
sort of had like a stroke.
Yeah, he like had like a stroke, and he's like really fucked up with it. And so he basically takes a bunch of pills and then kills himself with like. So then there's two that are dead. This is
all completely accurate to their.
Yes, this is all completely accurate.
Fuck.
This is all completely accurate. And then there's even worse. There's another brother that they didn't even mention.
It's so ridiculous. It sounds made up.
Yeah, I know. Because I mean, the story is crazy. It's like it's fucking crazy. And then Carrie, who's amputated, he puts on like a prosthetic thing and like tries to like do it, and it's like he eventually is able to like start wrestling again, even though he's got this prosthetic, and it seems like incredibly painful, and he's dealing with so much pain. I think that also increased all the drug use, because there was these drugs called somas back then, or at least they're like these major painkillers that all these wrestlers would use. And basically, like if you hear any wrestling podcast or any old wrestlers talk about it, like all you had to do is just like shake a pill bottle and all the heads would turn in the locker room, kind of thing.
Like Quaaludes?
I think it was like Quaaludes, but also mixed with pain. Like you could go, like it would kill all your pain, and all these guys had like injuries, and like you couldn't take a day off in this sport. You had to keep going. That was kind of part of it. So the Kerry Von Erich, the guy from the Bear, he eventually gets the call up to be a WWF wrestler, and he is in the WWF.
This motherfucker. Oh, the guy who lost his foot?
Yeah, he eventually gets the call. I mean, he hit it, so no one knew that he had a fake foot. That was never like that. Didn't come out until like
it's a foot,
after
not a leg.
It was like from his like shin down, like the middle of his shin down,
like half,
like almost like right where the boot starts on the rest. Like right there. So he gets the kind of the call up to the WWF. Then meanwhile, there's another title shot from Ric Flair given out to Zac Efron. So he finally gets that title shot against Ric Flair, and we have the whole Ric Flair scene. But like Zac Efron kind of fucks it up, and pretty much from that point on quits, and just sort of like wants to become like a background character of the league. So the dad kind of lets him run the business, and everything's kind of fading here at this point with the wrestling business. Vince McMahon's buying up all the territories at this point. Kerry's gone and wrestles with the WWF. And Kerry comes home, and he's got some wife, like, or some girl who's like hot, and he's like, everyone's like, who's the girl? He's like, oh, I forgot. He like doesn't even know who she is. Like, he's on so much like painkillers and all that shit, and fucked up from that. And kind of even late night after Christmas, kind of calls up Zac Efron character saying like, I'm like really bad, like it's not good for me. I want to join my brothers, kind of talking like that shit. And so Zac Efron kind of like tries to
the WWF.
Yeah, but he was sort of on the way out, kind of thing. It was kind of like they were stopping using him so much, like that kind of shit. Everyone kind of gets their run. He never got like a big push there. So he had his run, but nothing Nothing more than
Is
that.
he
And
contemporaries with like Hulk Hogan?
he would have been in that era for sure, but he never was up to that level. He probably never like he was lower on the card, like early card kind of guy, not the main event kind of thing. But comes back home, takes out one of the guns and shoots himself. And then
That sounds like some roid rage type of Chris Benoit shit.
yeah. And so
Did you see the
that's
Chris Benoit Dark Side?
yeah, that was a really good one too. That was a really dark one. That was horrible.
Yeah,
I mean,
he like
that I still think is
Chris
more
Benoit.
tragic than this because it's like disgusting and like innocent people and kids.
Well, that's more like kind of insular and really gruesome, but this is more like extravagant and complicated.
Yeah, and then so that's kind of basically where the movie leaves off. Like kind of actually it was a really good scene too. Like as soon as he kills himself, like there's a scene where he's in this boat on like a Texas river, and he kind of goes. He's on this canoe, and he sees like the other two brothers and the dead little kid brother, and it was like a very weird, kind of psychedelic little moment there. That was kind of cool, but definitely sad. It's a tearjerker movie for sure. And then kind of after that, Zac Efron is sort of like,
oh really? Your tears got jerked?
A little jerked. I mean, I know the story, but it's a sad story. But I left out the Zac Efron relationship part, but he kind of finds his way outside of wrestling, and he's got a wife and kids, and he's got the two boys, and like that was good. You could tell that he was at least made it out unscathed from the curse of the Von Erichs, but yeah, it was sad. And that apparently with that little rowboat thing at the end, that was a dream that happened by the real brother. I guess the screenwriters knew about the dream and they put it into the movie. And even I saw an article today where like the real Kevin Von Erich said like I couldn't watch that shit. Like I had to leave the theater for that. But there was some things that they left out. I mean, the major thing they left out was only a little bit after that, the dad shoots himself with that same gun. So the dad kills himself. And then here's this. There's another brother. He was kind of like this little short, fat brother. Like he had like brittle bone syndrome and he wasn't going to ever be a wrestler, that kind of thing. He was another one, but like they tried to put him in.
What did you say? Bird bone?
Brittle bones.
Oh.
Brittle bone syndrome.
He had also like D. Reynolds bird bones.
He also killed himself, shot himself in the head. So
yeah, I mean, if I had bird bones,
nuts.
I'd probably want to end my life too.
But it's like 1, 2, 4 brothers and the dad basically killed himself.
Okay, well, Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yeah, Merry Christmas. It's a Christmas story.
So, where do you think this will land on your year-end list of movies you've seen?
I would put it under the Holdovers. I liked Holdovers better, but this is like a movie. So it was nice to see like an actual movie. I don't think you even have to like wrestling to like this. I think anyone would like it, but if you do know the story, you'll probably like it a lot. I
feel like if I tried to do a year-end list right now, I'd probably be accidentally pulling stuff from the previous year or 2 years ago and lump them together.
Yeah, it'd be hard.
Like, was The Whale this year?
No, that was last year.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm having a hard time even recollecting things I would put on it.
Right. So Santa's husband. Here's Santa's husband with Santa with it's a black Santa, by the way. So get used to it. Here's Santa. This is Santa Claus. This is Santa Claus's husband. They are married. This is the gay home they live in the North Pole. Let's just see these illustrations. I don't think I could do this. I can't belittle these.
Is this like an ebook you found of an actual book?
It's a real book, and I was like, I'm not gonna actually buy the book, but also it looks like all gay elves, no women elves. Probably like little sex slave things. This is the kind of book if you want to piss off your conservative family, buy them Santa's Husband, the book, and they'll love that.
Well, I remember seeing this like it was like a first day at school book, but for kids that went to Sandy Hook, and it's like all about them, like getting shot up and stuff.
That's brutal.
And the person who made it was like one of the parents from like of the victims, and they were trying to get like legislation changed, so they were showing it to like politicians and shit like that. But it has like pop-ups and stuff, you know, like you remember like pop-up books?
Yeah.
Actually, I used to make like homemade cards for my mom and stuff, and I make pop-ups. All you have to do is take a little piece of construction paper and make like an accordion type of thing out of it. And then once you press the card down, you know, obviously you open the page and it springs.
Oh yeah, those were cool. I always like pop-up books.
Yeah, I made some pretty elaborate cards.
Yeah, that's a cool. Oh, I know exactly. Like, yeah, you do that little, and like that little back plate on your drawings, and they pop up. I know what you're talking about. That was always cool. But yeah, they always managed to kiss and make up over a plate of cookies. It's very sweet.
And anal.
And anal too, and a gay dog. Watching old TV, they couldn't get a new TV either. It's got to have rabbit ears on it.
How old is this book?
From 2017. Trump era. Yeah. Looks like a gay book. I don't want to make fun of it too much.
Well, I've seen some Black Santa commercials that are coming out now. It's not.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I kind of like a Black Santa. I like a Black Santa.
I don't give a shit. Is it really any different than those guys who are on the street talking about Jesus was black and shit?
I mean, I also just kind of find it funny. Like, I find it funny.
I mean, when I lived in Philly, every time I go to the train, those guys were camped out right outside of the FYE, which was a music store.
Yeah.
I liked the FYE. That one was like a
it's
really
back,
good
by the
one.
way.
It had 2 floors.
Back in stores. It's all in the malls now. FYE came back. It's
people that work there would have their own section for like recommendations, and I found a lot of good shit from that section of the place.
Yeah, it's making a comeback. It really is. It's making a comeback.
Well, I guess,
but I think they sell like T-shirts and
maybe they're realizing
anime dolls.
that like, it's a mix of like nostalgia and like, you know, like some people are sick of having to buy everything or download everything to where the physical space is almost wanted again because they miss having the experience.
Well, that was also funny about Leave the World Behind, how like in the bunker, the girl finds, like at the end of the movie, there's a bunker she finds, and it's got this big DVD case of all these Blu-rays and DVDs, and of course she finds the Friends DVD so she could finish up the last episode. But like, showed you kind of a little bit of a value of physical media. There is something still there for that. I mean, all my shit's digital.
What's annoying is I have a lot of CDs where I can't find the
CDs
version anymore, and my
CDs
car
also are crappy, man.
My car doesn't have a CD player, so I can't really listen to it unless I buy like a converter and then somehow get the CD into MP3 form again.
Yeah, and also CDs, they just don't hold up, man. They're like, you know, like records actually will physically hold up better.
Yeah,
CDs like
when I went to school with had a vinyl record player that they would plug into their computer and convert the vinyl into MP3s and shit. That's pretty awesome.
FLAC files, yep.
Yeah, FLACs, yeah. And there was like torrent sites where it was like invite only because they wanted to limit the amount of users so it wouldn't get taken down. And they always have the like most rare shit that you could find is really hard to get inside, and like they had rules where you had to have seeds to where it was like 50-50 or below. Like you had to be posting stuff that people would then download, or they would kick you because they didn't want leeches who would just be downloading constantly and never be actively like reinvesting into the site. It was pretty fucked up. if you didn't do it, like you would get kicked. They were very on top of all that shit. I'll be back. I gotta get some water.
You know, you're wondering whether I'm still the liquor. No. Guess what? I'm on top of the liquor. I am the monkey in charge of bananas. What's my secret? This little device right here. I just take a little blow, and it tells me when it's time for a little top-up. Because when I first got this, I used to ride it around 0.20, which is fucking wasted, 24/7. But now, I leave it at 0.12, which is perfect. It's right in the fucking slot, just past the click. That wonderful moment, just like Julian. I'm sober enough to know what I'm doing, and I'm drunk enough to really enjoy doing it. Oh, look at that, 0.10. Time for a little drinky poo. Cheers, genitals.
What's up, man? Mixexaplex. Yeah, Merry Christmas, dude. Actually, just gonna cover it now. It's gonna be a shorter one tonight, but best Christmas movies ranked. I wanted to go through the list. See what we all think here. I guess I'm a little partial to certain ones, non-partial to some other ones here. Number one here, I do like a lot. I think it'd be hard to make a ranking, but I do really like Christmas Vacation. It's one of my favorites. It just sucks at how it gets quoted by every asshole kind of thing. Yeah, Merry Christmas, man. Yeah, I like it a lot. Some really good parts with Randy Quaid there. Crazy ass Randy Quaid. He was ahead of his times with conspiracy stuff. He always said the government was after him. Then you find out the government's after all of us. Especially you up there in the Great White North. You got that blackface president there. Prime Minister blackface. That's the I still like it cracks me up. Like I still can't get over the fact that he wasn't in blackface once. It was multiple times, and then he even said like, I don't know how many times I've been in blackface. Like he can't even physically remember all the different times he's been in blackface. So it's like, yeah, this is your yeah, he's the master of disguise. This is your liberal prime minister, huh? I can tell you I've never been in blackface ever in my life. Home Alone, it's a classic. Chris Columbus, I think he knows how to work with those little kids. It sounds terrible too, but he knows how to work with Harry Potter, all that crap. Joe Pesci, classic. Good movie. I saw and I sent it to myself. Let me see if I can find this. I have this trailer because everyone's a genius these days, and they have to put out this genius work. But this is Home Alone cut like a horror movie. Saw this earlier.
I'm not an idiot. Oh, really? You're completely helpless. Everyone has to do everything for you.
Don't you know how to knock phlegm wide? Such ease.
Everyone in this family hates me.
Looks like it all just disappeared.
Murdered his whole family like half the people on his block. That's where he keeps his victims.
Is that one of
It'll
those?
just be a matter of time before he does it again.
Yeah, one of
It's
those.
like a re-edit to make it seem like a different movie than the tone of the actual.
Yeah, and it was also from like 15 years ago. I saw that on YouTube. I was like, yeah, it's also funny how there's these YouTube. I mean, there's videos that are attached to old shit we've done that like kind of like are like the start of YouTube, which is fucking crazy to think back at. We're talking like 2003. So I guess like 20 years ago.
It's really
20
weird.
year
Whenever
old
I
YouTube
see
videos.
or get reminded of Home Alone shit, I immediately want pizza and Pepsi
Pizza. I think of the mac and cheese that he eats.
Yeah, and mac and
I don't
cheese.
think of the
Fuck,
pizza.
yeah, I want some mac and cheese.
Yeah, I always think of the mac and cheese. I don't think of pizza. There's certain
They're
pizza.
not
I think
that
of
far off.
pizza. I think of Ninja Turtles. Like they got that stretchy cheese pizza kind of shit.
Yeah, I gotta get some mac and cheese now.
Yeah.
I gotta.
Well, everyone likes to have it as a side dish now, so.
I was fucking pissed.
Not a side dish.
For
But
Thanksgiving, there was no mac and cheese, and I was like, I felt betrayed.
have some mac and D's. Yeah. How do you like Macaulay Culkin on Red Letter Media these days?
I don't really watch those episodes.
I think it's funny. He was very low key in the last one he was on.
What's mac and D's? Oh, like some about your nuts.
Like D's nuts, yeah.
Is mac and cheese not a big thing in Canada? You're more
gotta
into
be.
like poutine, right? Which is French fries and gravy.
But with cheese curds.
I've had poutine. I liked it. It was a lot of carbs. It's like heavy carbs. The gravy kind of like
we have a similar dish in New Jersey called disco fries. Doesn't have the cheese curds, but it's
What are disco
cheese.
fries?
It's like a diner classic in New Jersey. I mean, I've never liked this. I just know of it.
It's got like fries with rainbow sprinkles on it or something.
It's fries with cheese and gravy. So it's poutine, but just doesn't have the cheese curds, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I felt like there was cheese with the poutine when I had it. Maybe I just had disco
Yeah, no,
fries
there
and
is.
confused the two.
Well, poutine is cheese curds and potato and gravy.
Yeah,
cheese
I want
curds
some
are
mac and
basically
cheese
like
now, man. I'm like
cheese curds are like fried mozzarella, almost like mozzarella sticks ish kind of thing, but like little balls of it kind of thing. They're good. How the Grinch Stole Christmas. That is a classic cartoon, one of the best. I think it's funny how that's 1966 and it kind of holds up pretty well. Definitely better than the Jim Carrey Abomination. I don't get the love for that one. That's a shitty movie.
Who loves it?
A lot of people like it.
I feel
Did
like
they
it just
die in
gets
the
kinda
end?
memed out.
Hey, if you're at Gnog Blake, if you're talking about the Von Erichs dying, yeah, they all die. So spoiler.
Seems like it, yeah.
They all die. I mean, luckily, like the main character has like a decent life, but everybody else, no, fucking bulldozed over. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. It's what is it? It's that company who did The Hobbit. What is that called? The cartoon. There's like these two guys. Rankin Bass. They were the stop motion guys, but also did animated stuff. They did all those Christmas stop motion movies, which are super weird in this day and age, but were all kind of cool. I don't know. I always liked them. How did you feel about the stop motion Christmas movies?
They're creepy, but
like feels Christmassy or something.
cool.
I don't know. Yeah.
Because it's just nice to see stop motion being done. Period.
Yeah, I always kind of like them. And then there's like some weird like they're all pretty good. Like there's like
What
a
did
New
you
Year's
think of
one.
The sequence in Harold and Kumar where it's all animated.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Trying to remember it. I can't super remember it.
I feel like they're on something.
Was it the first one or was it a different one?
No, it's the 3D one. I think the third.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember that. Yep, because they were doing the Christmas thing. Yep, that was pretty cool. Charlie Brown Christmas. It's depressing, as Charlie Brown always is. He's got a sad life, Charlie Brown. What do you think about the Charlie Brown Christmas? I think it is good. I mean, I'll say I love that song too. That's in there. It's a depressing Christmas song, but it's good. I use it in Royal Tenenbaums. She's out to lunch with Royal Tenenbaums. And thoughts are all in there. Now, good song. I like that, but it is depressing. So, did you ever get into Charlie Brown?
No, not really.
I always liked all the specials.
It always felt just kind of, I don't know, really outdated and creepy.
Yeah, it was. It was like there was a lot of outdated, creepy shit that for some reason.
Also, it always weirds me out when children are clearly written by adults. It's like too adult dialogue to where it feels, I don't know.
But around Christmas time, for some reason on these cartoon, like it was Cartoon Network back then, they would show all these really old shit. That's like the first. I was probably like 5 or 6 when I first saw the Hobbit cartoon on like Cartoon Network at my grandma's house, like at like 7 p.m. or something on Cartoon Network. Yeah, they would show these weird old movies. I don't think they do that anymore. Any titties in Iron Claw? Nah. I wish there was. It was almost there. There was some suggested titties of Lily James in Iron Claw, who was cute, very wholesome role. But they kind of there's like this little there's like kind of a sex scene in a truck that it was kind of like side boob. It was a sex scene in a truck that was silhouetted, so you couldn't see anything, but it was like suggested. But it was like suggested silhouette side boob, so nothing to jerk off to. Not gonna be on Mr. Skin tomorrow. Elf. I know this is a favorite of everyone, but doesn't do it for me. I think it's lame. I don't know. Sex between Fritz and Larry the Axe. I don't know Larry the Axe. I know Fritz, but they could have done that. They didn't do that. What do you think about Elf?
I don't really remember that much of it. James Caan, I think, is the father, and Peter Dinklage has a cameo.
Of course,
that was like peak Will Ferrell.
Oh yeah. Atnot says, "Of course, want to fuck it in the truck." Yeah, it's fucking Texas.
Is that a line from the movie?
No, but it's Texas, so that's expected. Best Christmas gift you ever got? What's the best Christmas gift you ever got?
Sega.
Yeah, I would say.
And it came.
I'm going to say this. I can remember.
And Cruising USA in this game called Gods of War, which was a Mortal Kombat ripoff.
I'm going to go a few years later, and I'm going to say PlayStation 1, and I remember I had like Spyro and other shit, just because I can remember that one more. I can remember that one a lot more. But also, actually, you know what? I'm going to go even further back. I remember like my uncle gave, it wasn't like a new gift, but it was like during Christmas time, he gave me, and also I never like talked to this uncle ever again, like hardly, but like he gave me his NES. This would have been like 1990. He gave me his NES with like all his games. So I had like the Golden Zelda game. I had like the first Super Mario Brothers. So this is NES. And that was always cool. It was at the era of like, maybe it was 1991. It was like at the era of SNES was around. I never got Sega. I didn't like Sega. I played Sega at other people's house. Yeah, the year Dad left was probably the best. Yeah, best for everybody. I got the Ninja Turtle sewer. Oh, that's cool. Like the sewer playset, because I remember that. If that's what you're talking about, I remember that playset.
Yeah, I
It was
remember
like
it too. I never had it.
no, I never had it either, but I remember people that did have it. I think I had the van, the Ninja Turtle van. It was like a little. It was like kind of like a VW bus kind of thing. Had like
Do you have the
pizza on the
Ghostbusters
wheels.
car?
Yeah, I probably had the Ghostbusters car. Oh, I think I did. I know I had a Batmobile that was like from that Michael Keaton Batman. That was a cool one. And I also had like a Batmobile that was like based off the 1960s Batman, so that was a cool one too. 'Cause, I mean, I don't know if you remember. Maybe you didn't watch, but I remember like when we were like really young, like 6 or 7, like on PBS, you could watch all the reruns of the old Batman, like the Adam West one. So I kind of always liked
I
that
remember
one.
seeing it, but I don't remember much. I remember the woman who played the Catwoman was pretty hot.
Oh yeah, definitely. You Castle Grayskull. Oh okay. Is it getting some? Is that He-Man? No, it's not He-Man. What's Castle Grayskull? Is that's the other guy?
Skeletor?
Yeah, Skeletor is that, but who is that He-Man?
I thought, yeah, Skeletor's
Okay,
He-Man's or Nemesis or whatever.
Masters of the Universe. Yeah.
You know what's weird? I'm surprised I
had
never had Transformer shit. I never had any Transformers stuff.
Speaking of He-Man, Zac Efron has like the exact He-Man haircut in this movie, and he really
does look
should
like
play He-Man.
He-Man.
He should play He-Man. Like I was noticing, I was like, oh, he looks like fucking He-Man. He should play it.
I'm surprised no one tried to make that, given how much superhero shit we have to endure.
I never got into Transformers. I don't know what it was. I liked all that shit. I just never got into it. You know what I remember really liking, and I had a bunch of them, and it was popular for a little bit. I think it died quick. But do you remember there was a thing called Mighty Max? It was these little toys that would have like, it would be like the size of your hand, but it would have like, it'd pop open and there'd be like these little mini figures in it.
Yeah, so the guy
Max
on
awesome.
YouTube I watch, his last episode, he got a bunch of complete He-Man stuff at it wasn't a garage sale, it was like more of a card show for toys, and I think he paid like 10 per, and most of them sold between like 20 and 50.
I like that joke there, Blake. He transformed into a single income family when he left. Went out for cigarettes, didn't come back. That old, that old bit.
Really hammering home this
getting that Christmas Wonderful
Life.
Life. Well, speaking of that, Frank Capra's classic, A Wonderful Life. Have you seen it?
With Jimmy Stewart?
Have you? I've seen it, but I think a lot of people see. No, I think this movie is so in the zeitgeist that like people know like the bits of it, but have you actually seen it?
Like vaguely.
It's a long movie. It's like 2.5 hours.
I'm sure I've seen it, but not like enough to really remember it.
It's funny too, where like
pieces.
There's a part where like Jimmy Stewart's playing like a high school kid, and he's in like like this varsity sweater, and I was thinking like, this guy looks like he's fucking 50 years old. Like I remember even realizing that as a kid, like, yeah, this is ridiculous. Maybe get a younger actor for that part.
Would they put like a pinwheel hat on him, and he's like 50?
They put like that. Back then, there wasn't a varsity jacket. There was like a varsity sweater. It was like a white sweater with like your team's like an A on the, like white sweater. That's like kind of what the varsity thing was.
It
Christmas
sounds like
Story.
that Hello Fellow Kids Steve Buscemi meme.
First time I watched for the first time.
You've probably seen that clip because you've watched 30 Rock for a good amount of time.
Yeah.
Chrissy Morgan's not bad on that. I don't like
30 Rock's like,
I don't like
30 Rock's not bad.
I don't like a lot of the cast, but
because it also was like it was that early era of that type of like we've had now like 12 versions of that show. But that was like the early era.
Parks and Rec, The Office.
Yeah, it's like countless. Community, all this shit. Like
what else?
Community,
yeah.
And more. There's some we haven't even seen. Like I know there's one where they work at like a Walmart or something. Like there's a bunch of them now. There's like I think it's called Superstore. I forget. There's like a lot of these knockoff Office, 30 Rock kind of thing. Like it's gotten old. So at least they were kind of original. But also it was kind of Larry Sanders Show. Kind of rip off of Larry Sanders Show.
Right.
which that goes back. Christmas Story. I actually have to say I definitely dislike this movie. I do not like it. I do not think it's a good movie. It's very overplayed.
It's a lot of nostalgia, but if you go back and watch it, it's just very like everything about it is really creepy.
No, but yeah, Larry Sanders is great, man. That show is fucking awesome. That is an awesome show, especially if you like those shows we list. If you like The Office, all these other things, you go back and watch Larry Sanders, you will like it.
Do you remember the whole subplot of David Duchovny really wanting to have sex with him?
Yeah, and that like spanned over a couple episodes. Like it was like every time he'd be on, he was like strangely homoerotic.
Yeah,
that was a very good bit. I think he was friends with Gary Shandling, so that was like written on purpose. The Santa Claus. I have to say, maybe this also hit during our era of being kids, but I always kind of liked this one. It was all right. I mean, I didn't like love it, but
I remember the reindeer looking really bad. Well, CG back then was not what it is. Actually, I don't know.
It's not a bad movie. I don't know. I think I just sort of liked the. It was semi-original, of like Santa being killed and someone has to replace him. Like I thought that was that was something added.
Oh,
to this.
Hold
like,
on, that's pretty fucked up for a kids movie. Santa dies.
Yeah, he gets killed he falls off the roof and then someone has to take
dead?
over.
Or he's just like incapacitated.
No, he dies. That's part of it. He dies.
Wow, that's fucked up. I thought it was like he was just injured and like couldn't go out and do stuff.
No, he dies. He like disintegrates. He has like a Jedi death.
Jeez.
He has a Jedi death, and then Tim Allen takes over because he's like next to him. It's like, or he picks up
the Santa Claus
the bag.
Is actually
That's why it's the claws. I like. So I kind of like. I like that idea of like
a lot deeper than you probably expected.
They added to the lore of the whole thing. So
Kris Kringle.
Yeah. Frosty Snowman, another Rankin and Bass movie from '69. This is still good.
Well, you know what a good
I was like that one.
Christmas movie is that horror movie.
They fixed that in the series. Oh god. Falling off the roof voids the contract. Putting on the suit makes Tim Santa. So, but what happened to the other guy? He like disintegrated like a Jedi.
The fuck was that horror movie that came out like a few years ago?
Krampus.
Yeah, that shit was not bad.
Yeah. That was on my list of anti-Christmas movies I saw. Miracle on 31st Street. I've seen it. Don't like it. Doesn't do it. Doesn't do it for me. Die Hard.
There's different versions. There's that old version, and there's the one with the Matilda bitch.
Yeah, he's in hell. That's right. That other guy, he disintegrated and went right to hell because he was a pagan god.
I'm confused on Die Hard being a Christmas movie because a lot of people don't consider
it. Takes place during Christmas. I don't really think it is. But everyone seems to think it's funny that it's included in here because it takes. I think it's all. Everyone just thinks they're like the smart motherfucker because it's on Christmas, so Christmas movie. I don't really think it's a Christmas movie. I'm also of the belief that like whatever you like, make that your Christmas movie. Like, if you want to go watch Lord of the Rings on Christmas, that'll probably be fine.
I would say Harry Potter is kind of a Christmas
Harry
movie.
Potter, I think actually kind of falls a little bit in there because Harry Potter has multiple Christmas scenes because he stays in Hogwarts during Christmas.
Well, it's just also they replay the fucking series every Christmas, and then there's a sequence. I don't know. I have this like vivid memory of like Harry and the other Ron telling each other like "Merry Christmas" or "Happy Christmas" some shit. So
yeah, because they're British, they can't say that.
Merry Christmas, Ron.
Happy Christmas, Ron.
Happy Christmas, Harry. Did you ever see the SNL bit where Lindsay Lohan is Hermione?
Oh yeah, and she's like stacked. Yeah. Well, that was the weird. I mean, that's a weird thing about There's a weird thing about not the first two because they're obviously little kids, but there's a weird sexualization of her at like the third movie or fourth movie, and it's fourth movie. That's like where that other Russian, like that lame ass Russian magic school comes in and does their little like pole dance or some shit, and the French.
The Goblet of Fire. You talking about?
Yeah, the Goblet of Fire. They're very sexualizing Hermione at that point. A little creepy sexualizing a kid. Little creepy. Maybe like it's almost as if Hollywood was run by pedophiles. Could that be? I mean, I know there's this little guy called Harvey who was in control of a lot of things. I think he liked him a little young.
Yeah, I was watching some like Quentin Tarantino documentary stuff, and Harvey Weinstein was all over it.
Oh yeah.
Uma Thurman him and Harvey Weinstein had a falling out because Uma Thurman came to him and said that Harvey was doing weird stuff.
I don't doubt it. Hey, she must have not done it because she never really got pushed too far after that.
No,
she must have not committed.
This is right before Kill Bill.
But then even that, but I'm saying like after that, she never really got pushed too hard.
I guess.
You know? Even now, like look at now, she's gone. She's pretty much gone. I mean, what's the last thing you could think of she was in?
Movie with
she's in very few things. It's kind of weird. I don't realize that.
Well, that could be by choice too. You know, like a lot of times they just don't want to act anymore. They made enough money. They just don't care.
I mean, I'm looking. She is in things, but it's just like nothing big. I don't know. She doesn't show up in anything of acclaim for a long time. I mean, basically, like the last thing that she was in that had like any acclaim to it. I'm going down the list here. I would say it's probably The Producers from 2005, and then before that was Kill Bill Volume 2, 2004. So that's kind of weird. I like that. I like this guy, Blake. I like your stuff here. Great stream, boys. I'm gonna go shit in a bucket on OnlyFans and make $6. Merry Christmas. Hey, it's a better way to make $6 than you think. There you go. Get that shit porn in there. I'm gonna go on this. I saw. You know what's funny? I saw people talking about Muppet Christmas Carol, and I'd never seen it, and which is weird because, by all accounts, 1992. I should have seen this movie. That's all I'll say. Is like by all accounts, I should have seen this movie. And I did like the Muppets. I think I liked the 70s Muppets better. I saw this, and maybe I'm just too old. I didn't see anything in this. And Carol's okay. This is the best one, the 84 one with George C. Scott. Here we go, Dr. Seuss, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. You know what? I'll agree with where this is at on the list. Seeing this further down on the list is like where it should be. It shouldn't be at the top. It's not that good. Polar. Also, I'll say this: there's a little girl. I was young at this time. I was probably the age of the girl. I always thought the girl was attractive.
If somebody delivered a package to my apartment today, and it's for apartment 510, and I'm 6'10",
oh,
am I supposed to like walk this shit over? Like,
yeah, I had to do that already. I've done that like once this
fucking idiot.
Christmas time. I mean, I did it. I felt awkward doing it, but I was like, I'll do it. They had my package and I had theirs, so I'm sure they saw me on the Ring camera or whatever, because everyone has one of these.
Yeah, I got one.
The Polar Express. If you want to watch a really creepy animation that doesn't age well, and what do they call it? What do they call it? There's like a term for it. Uncanny Valley. The Uncanny Valley is the Polar Express, where it's like your brain.
Tom Hanks is a pedo now, right? Or he did something.
Yeah, probably. He's probably on that Epstein list that'll come out in a little bit. Home Alone 2. You know, a lot of people say I've been seeing a big push for this year.
Yeah, because Trump's running again.
No, but I've been just seeing a push for this. People saying this is the better movie. This is not the better movie. Like,
no, it's not better.
No, it is not at all. It is not at all.
Maybe,
like, I don't.
It's maybe better for a age group that's not tied to the original.
It's only like a year off from the original, right? Let me see. It's up here. How old is? I mean, let's see. Home Alone was 19. All right, it's 2 years off. 1990 Home Alone. This is 92.
Yeah, a lot can happen in 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm even as a kid. I mean, I watched both of them and I liked both of them, but I always thought like, yeah, Home Alone 2 is not the same thing. If I had a choice, I would put on the first one. You know what I mean? Like if someone gave me both VHS tapes and said choose, yeah, I know which one I'm fucking choosing.
I don't know. It's got some good sequences, like the
It
whole.
does. I mean, that's like where
thing.
it's like, again, it's not a bad movie. It's pretty good, and it's like it should definitely be on this Christmas list.
But it's so formulaic. Like instead of the shovel, creepy old man, it's the old fat pigeon lady.
Oh, it falls completely into that sequel shit where it's like,
And instead of like the booby traps being at his house, it's at this abandoned, like renovated apartment of relative or something.
Yeah, it's the same movie. That's the sequel. That's the trick of the sequel. Scrooge is down here. Scrooge is pretty good. Probably the best version of A Christmas Carol. This should be higher on the list. Karen Allen in it too.
Yeah, Karen Allen.
Oh, another one of these Rankin Bass creep fests. Mickey Rooney plays the voice of Kris Kringle in this one.
Yeah, does he do a really bad Asian character?
Probably. I remember the Mickey Christmas Carol. I think they made like a little Mickey be the Tiny Tim character, and that was kind of sad. Nightmare Before Christmas is a Halloween movie. This shouldn't really fall into play here.
No, it's Christmas too.
It's kind of both. It's probably more Halloween though.
Of it is like it can tap into both and sell and make money for both.
Yeah, now we're getting to this list of stuff I don't know.
I'm surprised like people haven't had like the Easter Bunny, fucking Santa, or some Halloween thing with both of them. You know, like some more shit like that.
I mean, here's like I don't know Santa Claus 2. I don't know Christmas Chronicles.
Well,
this
hold on.
is way outside of my realm.
Is Tim Allen now dying as Santa and someone else takes over?
This one guy on he left, but he was saying there's a Santa Claus series right now on Disney Plus. I just saw it. I looked it up. So it's like there's 1, 2, and 3. 3 has Martin Short as some fucking elf character.
No, he's Jack Frost.
He's Jack Frost, yeah. And then now there's a
villain,
series.
I thought.
So this is continued pretty further than it should have. It should have just been one movie, to tell you the truth. It was probably, honestly, it should have just been one movie. It probably would have been way more beloved.
Or not Vince Vaughn.
Oh, I don't know. That could come up. Christmas Chronicles, I don't know at all.
Kurt Russell?
Yeah, I don't know this one. A Miracle on 34th Street reboot with the guy from Jurassic Park. I remember this.
Yeah, and the bitch from Matilda.
This was better. This was better
Elizabeth
than the original
Perkins.
one. Another creepy Rankin and Bass movie. Certainly should be on the list. I don't know this Mickey movie. The Grinch 2018. I forgot this even existed. I mean, now that I see the animated character, I semi-remember it, but wow.
Benedict Cumberbatch was in that shit.
I guess he was the Grinch. Scott Mosier directed it. Kevin Smith's partner there for a while. I don't think they're together anymore, but he went on to do the Grinch. Gremlins. It's also kind of in that Die Hard realm. Like, is it really a Christmas movie? It probably is more of a Christmas movie than Die Hard, and this should be further up on the list. This is actually so far this is the best movie on the list that we've actually hit. Probably Gremlins and Home Alone. And Christmas Vacation. Gremlins, Home Alone, Christmas Vacation, Home Alone 2. Those are the best movies we've hit on this list. As far as like actual movies.
Reboot of Fast Times at Ridgemont High. That'd be a fucking good reboot.
I could see them doing it. Oh, here's Christmas at the Cranks. I think this was mentioned. This is another. Wow, Tim Allen's got this lock on Christmas.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen this one. Jingle All the Way, I've seen this one. I think this should be higher on the list. It's not good.
Sinbad?
It should be. It just, I feel like more like it's memorable. You know, like
Phil
Turbo
Hartman,
Man,
man.
other shit.
Poor bastard.
Here's another Uncanny Valley creep fest with A Christmas Carol. Like, also by Robert Zemeckis. So I guess he's into these Christmas movies because he did Polar Express. He's into these bad 3D movies.
Well, he's just trying to maybe get some children's market.
Love Actually, we're not British, so we'll pass over that one.
What are you talking about? That's with the guy from Walking Dead.
Yeah, that little British fag.
No, Rick.
I know.
You never saw that sequence where he's like holding up these cards telling what's the fucker name? Sigourney Weaver or
all right, this is another one that's far down on the list that should be higher, but maybe it's just not cheery enough. It's a little darker.
I think this list is more based on like purely
this is ranked
Christmas movies than like alternate versions or.
This is ranked by fans. This is ranked by people. This is all like I can upvote this and it might move up. Like if I put that vote up, it can move up in the list. So this is like a lot of people's voting. I mean, there's tons of votes on this. This is a very popular ranker list. A Christmas Carol from 1938. That goes back really far. I've never seen this one. I remember, all right, the Santa Claus the movie. I heard this is a super psychedelic movie. I was actually like when he goes into like the sleigh.
John
he goes
Lithgow and Dudley Moore. That sounds fucking weird.
Yeah, and it's like I was thinking like, oh, I've never seen this. And when he
Who's
gets on the
Burgess
sleigh,
Meredith?
that name sounds familiar too. When he goes on the sleigh, he goes into this like kaleidoscope realm to like travel. So it's more of like this psychedelic experience for him to get across the world.
It's like
nothing
the trip.
like physical. It's kind of like he goes through like a fucking Doctor Who fucking worm tunnel every time to travel. Probably more realistic.
Burgess Meredith is the guy who played the Penguin from
in the original series.
From the Batman stuff.
Yeah. Bunch of
I thought that was a woman.
Let's see if anything else comes up on.
I don't know why Burgess Meredith sounded like a woman, and then I just assumed the two men were mixed with her.
Here's the Vince Vaughn movie, 4 Christmases. So that kind of comes up. Arthur Christmas, Ernest Saves Christmas. All right, now we're getting to the we're scraping the barrel with this one. Oh yeah. Well, that's about it. So that's it for Christmas. Merry Christmas, all. Love it. I got to head out. Find us on YouTube, podcasts everywhere, Twitter, all that shit.
Discord.
Got 50K in stock. All right, man. I'll see you, dude.